Hey guys, I'm Rick, and that is One Big Pile of Bricks with our amazing guest, Sydney's best Lego builder, Brickman brand manager, Mark Curnow. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Pretty good, you know, all things considered with the world, you know.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's a nutty place right now.
It is. And how's your Lego preparation going? Are you still building? What's been happening?
Yeah, no, well, I'm still building stuff for myself as much as I can, which isn't too much.
Dan, zoom in. You can see like the amazing.
But yeah, I've sort of built this Iron Man helmet, which actually started off as something from Lego Masters, because that's another thing of what I do for Brickman, is I sort of test and build some stuff for Lego Masters.
That's amazing.
So I can't talk about the new season, which is coming out next year, but I can talk a little bit about the past seasons and the Marvel brick pit when we did that.
Wow.
So I helped build a bunch of the props in there. Me and Dave, the other guy on Lego Masters, do all the Lego stuff.
Later, Dave Holt will be on a podcast. So
yeah, he's a legend. He's a great builder. So yeah, he and I did most of the building for that. We built the props and stuff that were in the brick pit.
Without going into it too much, because obviously there's legal stuff and all that stuff about like Lego Masters and Channel 9. What's it like being behind the scenes preparing the challenges?
It's pretty cool. It is really cool. The ideas that the producers come up with, like we helped advise them in the first year because they didn't know what they were doing.
Oh yeah, we had a frantic phone call from someone that's now one of the lead producers.
Yep.
Final moment, man, I need so much Lego for the finale. Please help us. So, you know, like they, you know, they had nothing, and they're like, oh, and so you know, roller. If you watched season 1 and you saw Dave and Jeed's build, there was a lot of roller coasters that were given to them. So obviously, you know,
and a lot of power functions.
A lot of power functions.
Yes.
Yeah, it was always frantic. The first couple of years was always like, because no one knew it would be such a massive success it is today.
No, absolutely not.
Because without, you know, like we've grown and Brickman's grown, we've all like benefited from Lego Masters, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. It's been great.
I think it's been amazing.
What was one of the funnest things that you got to build and test out for these challenges?
I reckon probably for me, the funnest thing was the first Make and Shake tower, which I think was season 2.
Yes.
Because it was nuts. Like I'd never tried to build on like a shaking thing. And it was this whole thing where it's like, initially they just kind of want to work out how strong is Lego. And they were like, can you beat it? I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can beat it. And so like I totally over-engineered this crazy thing which had like, you know, like suspension in like 4 different dimensions, so that this thing just kind of wobbled like this. And it's like they turned it up to like 11, right? So it was absolute maximum, and my thing just kept wobbling like this. And I was like, no, and it's like, no, it didn't fall down.
Challenge accepted.
And it's like, and they were like, well, that's boring. I'm like, well, yeah, but you asked me to beat it, so I beat it.
Yeah.
Well, and you've got to expect it to happen. I believe one team did beat it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of seasons and a lot of.
I just remember the one with the popcorn bucket and then
that was great.
Coming out.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was Tim and Danny.
I think.
Yeah,
so.
It was.
Yeah,
that was awesome. That
was
awesome. That one, I love that one. I think I can't remember if they won that one or not.
I think so. It's hard because there's been so many,
and we've had so much of a gap between them.
One also too, there's so many different variations around the world now.
Yeah,
like, and the American one's okay. Like, I like the fact they can get Star Wars and stuff at the time, but it's like we've spoken about it before. I don't know if the American thing doesn't resonate with Aussies. It's a bit over the top, a bit like, you know
ours
what I
was
mean?
the
Like,
best one. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, ours is the better one for sure. Like,
well, it's got the best team.
Well, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Best research team.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There's a reason why our format was the one that was copied around the world, right?
Well, that's exactly right. That's why I'm surprised Brickman's team's not involved in the New Zealand one. Like, I'm surprised there's no big...
Maybe they will be.
Maybe they are. I know Brickman's not a judge. He might do a mystery appearance, but I know the judge is Robin, so...
Yeah, well, that's it. So, I don't know.
Robin's a really nice dude. Have you met Robin before? No, he's actually a genuine... He was like the first LCP in the world. Yeah. So he's actually a really nice guy. Like, it's very... There's certain LCPs in the world, and I won't say who.
Wink, wink.
That built superhero stuff that sometimes are not as friendly to approach, I guess.
Yeah, well, it depends how you're willing to go about doing it. You know, some people take it way seriously, and some people don't.
But it's a toy.
Well, that's it. I think it's Lego. It's fun, you know, and you're doing it for kids. And if you start getting too serious and too worried about, you know, standards.
Well, and also too, that it's hard because the AFOL community is going to criticize someone like Brickman and the team always because they're like, oh, like an eggs, they're like, oh, it's not built properly, but they don't realize that to have a display item, the amount of work that goes into it is completely different than plopping something on a table at a show, right?
Yeah, totally.
You can't build something You can't have something built for your own personal use that's going to be appropriate for public display.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the
absolutely.
thing. That's the funniest thing I find after Lego Masters, all like but why didn't they do this? It's like, well, there's always a reason.
There is always a reason.
Like,
that's
you
right.
got to make sure you can take the thing apart on Lego Masters afterwards because, no one has unlimited parts. And two, like, it's got to be displayed correctly.
Yeah.
And people love to touch. You can tell them, please don't touch
Yeah.
this.
the
What's
kids,
that?
stick
You
your
would know,
fingers-
Mark.
no,
You've been,
it's
like,
as much
involved
the
in, like,
adults.
at least 10 Brickman shows. He's got a lot.
Oh, no, he doesn't have 10 just yet, but he's on his way.
But it's like
We've got
10 different, like,
6.
traveling everywhere, I guess. Would that be right?
We've
Like,
got 6 shows, I think.
wow. And you've been involved in every single one, is that right?
Not exactly. I've helped set them all up. Yeah. But
Wow.
the very first show, that was before I started working for him.
Do you
So-
remember which one that was? Because I don't.
The Brickman Experience.
Oh, wow. Is
Yeah.
that the one that's overseas at the moment?
Yeah, that's the one that's in the UK.
Oh, wow. Okay.
so
It's still
they're-
in the UK.
It's still in the UK. They're trying to work out where they can get to open it. Because
Wow,
obviously
'cause,
COVID's
yeah.
still big issue
Very
over in the
difficult.
UK and Europe in general. So
I think that's one of the hardest things that's happened to anyone. And, we're going to chat to Brickman later about it, obviously. But it's one of the hardest things being involved in the Brickman team that so much of his environment now is revolved around shows.
yeah.
And if there's no shows, everything kind of comes to a slowdown, right? Like,
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, like there's a lot of Lego certified stores that are open
oh, yeah,
up
there's
around
heaps.
the country.
There is heaps.
And there's heaps of them, and
We've brought a lot of statues.
yes, you have.
Well, we get into that.
And-
We'll
and
get
some
into that
eggs.
with
And
you.
some eggs.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right.
Oh, and I have to say, I don't know if you know what that type of dinosaur.
I have no.
is.
It's the Australian one. That's all I keep telling
Yeah.
people. It's the Australian one.
It has the best name ever.
What is the name?
It's a Lovenator.
Are you serious?
That's what it's called. Look it
I
up.
have to
It's
look
called a
this up now.
Lovenator.
Lemonade.
Well,
Maybe that's not. Maybe I'm not
first
saying
time
it
ever.
right.
I'm
probably not
lost
saying
for
it right.
words. It's like one of those things, right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you? Yeah.
But we were doing research trying to work out what Australian dinosaur we could put into an egg, and it was just like found that one. It's like, oh, we've got to do that one. That's crazy. We've got to do that
Yeah.
one.
That's awesome.
Is a Lovenator on display at the Brickman Jurassic World?
No, it's not.
It probably wouldn't get approved. I'm guessing by like
'cause
marketing.
unless it gets in the movies, we probably
Yes.
couldn't build it for the
Yeah.
show because it's in partnership with Universal. We have to work together basically.
Just makes it even more special, though, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
It does.
Absolutely.
And sorry,
I
Caroline,
was
go
going
ahead.
to say we've talked all about we've talked about the Iron Man head, but what about the bust next to it? What's that?
Yeah, that I brought that in just to show people, but
What is
it's
it? So some people will be listening to this, of course.
Hmm.
What is it? Tell us.
well, if you're just listening, you can't see it, but I'll hold it up next to my head for reference. I'm not sure which camera I'm supposed to be looking
It's this one here.
at. That one there. It
It's
was
really
me.
cool.
It was me. The glasses are different because that's what my glasses look like when I built it. But
Was this pre-Brickman or during? Brickman?
no, well, this is actually my sort of audition piece, one of my audition pieces for Brickman.
Oh, wow.
When I went for the job, apart from just doing a regular interview and talking
Yeah.
about what I can do and whether I could do what the job required, they said, I need you to build 2 things. I need you to build a self-portrait, but
Wow.
only using bricks and plates. So
Oh, cool.
So no fancy curves, slopes, nothing like that. Just had to be bricks and plates. And then I had to build a model of anything I wanted, but it could have
pretty cool.
no bricks and plates. So
Ah.
This is pretty cool.
yeah, so I'm pretty
Yeah.
happy with that. So I've just and that was like all my old school Lego. So I used up pretty much every jumper I had in that to kind of get all the offsets and stuff to try and shape my face something resembling me.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you've kept it all together
yeah.
now because it's great memories, isn't it?
Yeah. So it sits on my mantelpiece at home.
Well, and a lot of people don't know Mark and Caroline and I have a long history. Mark's built a few things for the store, Wall-E and Eve, and we still have the Back to the Future train.
Well, that was pretty much my first commission work before I worked for Ryan and Brickman. That
Wall-E
was
and
the first kind
Eve.
of paid
Oh,
money.
No, it was that one because remember
That's right,
it was when, I
commission,
think you
yes.
just met your partner Cara,
Yeah.
and we would picked it up from Carlton.
Well, I remember going and picking
Yep.
that up, the Wall-E and Eve,
Yeah,
from the same place.
Same place,
I think it was
yeah.
in Carlton or
Yeah, I think
opposite
so.
Royal
Parkville?
Park.
Parkville,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
Yes.
where my partner lived at the time.
yeah.
Yes,
So it's
she
been
was
one of
in
these
there, yeah.
like. A lot of people don't realize how far in the Lego community we actually go with people. Everyone thinks that it's a fluke. You just open a Lego business and
I mean, that would have
that's
to be.
how it goes. But I don't think people realize like us and Brickman, we basically started at the same
I
time.
would say that
Yeah.
would be at least 10 to 12 years ago.
It was a long
because
time
we-
ago, yeah.
We had
Yeah.
that piece when we opened our very first shop
Yeah,
in,
Traralgon. It used to be on
what
display.
was it, 2011 or something like that. Yeah, it did. It did.
Well, yeah, it's a funny coincidence. It's my Brickvention is effectively me and my partner's anniversary. So we met
Wow,
we
that's
met at
amazing.
Brickvention 10 years ago,
Is that where? Because I always
okay, so it would've been
assumed,
10
you know,
years ago.
there was a previous show inside the Brick. I assumed you guys met there.
No.
But now I know it's Brickvention. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was kind of an inside the brick sort of thing, though.
It
Yeah.
was. I
Yeah.
do remember.
I'm going
One
to
of
try
the
and get
childhood
Rob on.
friends.
It's hard to pin Rob down these days since
Yes.
Oh yeah,
disappearance
he's
from
a
the
busy
Lego
man.
King.
He's a
Yeah,
busy
he's like
corporate
really
man.
important. I don't know what he does, but it's important. That's all I know. Like,
Oh yeah.
but it's like one of those things. I think being a big part of the Lego community. How did you find going from building for yourself and then being a part of the Brickman team? Like that would have been a complete different shift.
Whoa. Yeah, it really was. It really was. I mean, at the time, I'd just gone through a bunch of crazy life changes. I'd quit my job in Sydney. My partner just had our first child, and we moved house in Sydney. And then Ryan made me the offer to move down here, and it was just like, this is kind of a dream job. I've got to give it a go, right? And we met down here anyway. So Cara knew lots of people down here, so that was great. So we all picked up bags with our newborn baby and moved down
I
here.
remember. I was like,
All
wow,
kind
Mark's
of came
moving.
full
Like,
circle,
wow.
didn't it?
Because I used to tease you all the time about bringing you down and be like, you should come down, and then you can like,
Yeah, you're
because
trying
back
to
then
convert
Sydney
me
used to
the-
win every Brickvention best build. It's
Well,
different now because like you know
Yeah,
We
the
have
Lego
Mark
community
now.
is so much bigger now, right? Like,
Yeah, it is.
but now you're a Melbourne guy, so does that mean you can enter and win for Melbourne again?
if I entered as myself, but part of the problem is that I guess because I am doing it for a job and because I've got two kids now, two little kids.
Yeah.
You know, families always comes first.
Obviously,
and I just
yeah.
don't have much time to build
Well,
too
and
much stuff
also-
for myself, so I just kind of ration it out and build one or two.
Well, this
things
is
for
cool. The
myself
Iron
a
Man
year.
thing is
Amazing.
cool, and your head is good that you kept. That's like me.
Yeah.
I don't really have much. Like I've got sets, but I don't build MOs. It's just too hard when you're like in business and doing stuff. It's just sometimes to get the mindset too right to sort
But
of build.
how much room do you have? Right, there's only so
we're running
much
out of room
space
upstairs
that you
because I'm
have.
hoarding.
I said
Yes.
to Rick yesterday, I said to him, you've accumulated a lot in the last 12 months since we have moved into, opened up this shop. But
Yeah, because I was tidying upstairs. I was like,
So-
well, Mark's coming. It's got to look nice. Like, so we're fixing up where like my display is, and I was like, wow, I have a lot of Lego. Like,
a lot
you
of
forget.
Lego statues.
You
How
do
much
own
you
a
keep-
Lego shop, guys.
We
So
do.
you know,
We do.
And I have a lot of Lego statues too. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
This
don't.
is how
I
that
don't like to
internal
think of how
voice-
much money I've paid Brickman in over the years in Lego statue form, but there's a lot. So
You have to
try not
just-
to think
yes,
about it.
Tell that internal voice of yours just to tone it down.
Caroline and I
sometimes.
had an agreement: no more statues from Brickman. So
Only
when
because
was
it's
this?
this was like recently
Not
How
nothing.
recently?
after the Triceratops. I was like,
After the Triceratops.
I was like,
Explain
oh,
what happened
oh,
with
okay.
this Triceratops, Rick.
oh, because like.
How big is it going to be, Rick? Oh, I don't know. It's a baby
Because
one.
Brickman's like, it's a baby one, and you know, you're like, oh, like little.
A
You're
little
like,
one.
you know, half a meter. You're like, oh.
We can have
And
it
then we pick it up, and I'm
upstairs.
like, oh, that's
Yeah,
not going
no.
to fit.
It was going to
It's still a dinosaur.
No,
It's a baby one.
Because
but
originally
it's
it's like,
still a
oh, we'll put it up
dinosaur.
here, it'll be cool. I'm like,
Yeah.
that thing's not getting up the stairs, no way.
Yeah, well, it's just
would
it'll
be
take up
this
this
high,
whole
wouldn't it?
space.
Well, and
between
also
us.
too, like, there's a train, because we
Yeah.
got a train layout that I've been trying to, like, convince Brickman to build me a monorail. Like, I'm like, hey, we need a monorail, G-scale, it goes, you know, and that will be a discussion on later.
For everyone
Well,
who
okay.
comes in. I'm
not getting in the
surprised
middle of
he's
that,
not
even though I'm physically
Have
in
you
the middle.
seen the train yet, Mark?
No, I haven't.
Oh, we'll wait till later.
I'll turn it
Look at
on.
my
It's pretty
train.
awesome.
Look at my train, Mark. Look, it goes. Look at it. Isn't it great?
I
Very good,
I don't like to
Rick.
say this much, but I think I'm a train guy now. So
Oh,
does
yeah.
that mean when I go to like Lego events, they're gonna push me in the corner like they do to all the other train guys?
Yep.
Just put us in the corner.
Yeah, no, you go in the middle of the train layout and you never leave.
Yeah,
You have to make sure to bring a sleeping bag and some deodorant.
Then you have to get your notepad out and make notes of what time it passes you.
Well, I know for a fact that the train here does 70 kilometers a day.
It does.
Wow.
In the
Yeah.
6 hours. in
That's
the
cool.
6 hours.
Yeah, we worked
that
it out
out.
because I was like, I want to work this out because I'm obsessed.
In the 6 hour shift when we are open on the weekends, it'll do 72
Because we worked out the
kilometres.
week of Christmas, it did 420 kilometers.
We're like, are you sure that's right?
And then
We're
we
all
did the math
working
and
it
we're like,
out.
oh, that's a long one. What
Wow.
I'm a
Yes.
nerd, it's how it is.
Wow.
With, not always about Rick James, but with you, Mark. So what's, like, do you still in love with the brick? How do you find it now working
Yeah.
always around it, surrounded by the Brickman, obviously?
Yeah.
Because everyone forgets everyone around Brickman, but, you know, like, the team is what really carries the Brickman, you know?
Yeah,
like,
well, it's a
Without the
massive, it's a
team,
big
it's
company now, and that's the thing. And I think Ryan's been trying to. I think he's done a much better job, or not better. He's done a job recently where he's really making it clear to everyone that we are a team.
yeah,
So
I've
he
noticed
talks
that
about
on
the
social
Brickman
media.
team.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, like I've been buying a long time. I'd always
Yeah.
be like, who built this? And Brickman's like, I did. I'm like,
Who
really built this? And then it would like previous there was Claire and stuff, and I'm like, thanks Claire, because like it's
need
hard, I
credit
guess,
too.
with someone being on TV.
Yeah.
He can't
Everyone
be
kind of
everywhere.
forgets the people behind the scenes, like.
Yeah. And Ryan is a great builder. He's a great builder. But, like so many of us now, we just don't get as much of a chance to build.
Well, I think thankfully for Lego Masters, obviously the team's grown, which is great, which means that less pressure on you, which means more time for building.
Yeah, hopefully.
And more time to invest in those creative challenges on the show too.
Well, yeah, I'm not sure how much, like the producers that have come up with ideas, they've got like a whole book of ideas now. It's just like,
But how many of them are unfeasible, right? Like, it's like, we should do this.
I've been
like,
surprised.
no, you can't do that. Like,
I've been surprised. Like, I can't let any cats out of the bag.
No,
but some of the
obviously,
ideas
no,
for
of
the
course
new
not.
season, some of the ideas and the challenges, I'm like, that's not going to work. But then I've seen them test it and I'm like, actually, maybe you can make that work.
I think
So
too,
I'm
with
surprised.
a show
I'm
as big as
really
that, and
impressed.
how many seasons, there's heaps now.
Yeah.
There's too many to name now. There's like Denmark and Poland, and I think Romania's getting a season. Like, it's everywhere, right?
Wow.
Like, it's one of those things that there's so many iterations. How do you make it different?
Yeah.
I think you get caught in the trap of copying each other. We know the rest of the world pretty much copies Australia because that's the format that worked, because the UK format wasn't the greatest. I don't like saying it, but it wasn't like the best
Going
one.
back to what Mark said, it's really valuable for the producers to have, a huge catalogue of ideas that they can go back to and variations on all those ideas so that they aren't recycling.
Well, and then you don't
things.
get caught out, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's hard. Like, there are challenge ideas, and again, I can't talk about them, I suppose, but there are challenge ideas which just don't make the cut. Like, we test them, we try them out, and because on paper it sounded great, but then when you actually try to build it and try to do what you're hoping to do with it as part of the challenge, it just doesn't work.
well, you and Dave have obviously been a great team in the previous seasons. Obviously, season 4 is a little bit different because COVID circumstances and whatever, but like every challenge you've pretty much helped. You've been around because you were a part of the team.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy for everyone to say, oh, the show's doing an amazing job, but it's easy to forget everyone like yourself who's helped. Like, without you guys, it wouldn't be as successful.
You have to have a great team in order to produce great
that's what
things.
TV is like, though. TV film, it's like it's all about the team. Like, you only ever see the actors on screen, but there's hundreds of people.
it.
Oh, there's
Putting
heaps. When
away.
we've been to 2
Hundreds of
finales, I think. No, one. Because the first season I was
Yes,
obviously quite
that's
ill, so we
right,
didn't
yes.
attend.
Yeah.
But the second one we went, and the amount of staff,
Yeah.
you're just like, wow, there's a lot of people. Like, and you forget that a show like that, the set is like fake effectively, and they have to slap it up and like.
And all the cleaning that goes into things
Yeah.
after every challenge.
Yep.
There's just so much work
and
involved.
the sorting. And actually,
Yes.
I mean, one thing is interesting. People probably did wonder a little bit about COVID and last season. And I can say they went to a great lengths to make sure and try and keep the bricks as clean as possible. So, like, all those bricks, after they were used, went through washing and
Wow.
drying
That's amazing.
before they were put back in the brick pit.
Well, you have to like
So
also
there was
in
a
the
whole new
world.
system
Like,
they had to work out on the fly to make that work.
imagine that. Imagine trying to film like a show that's about touching things, about being really close, building brick pit. Everything's sort of like
Credit to
you
them.
have to just like credit
Mm.
to them. They change.
did it.
It's unfortunate it's not filmed in Melbourne anymore because I would like to go to the finale.
Oh, it's
It'd be interesting to see if it ever makes its way back. But I'm
Yeah.
kind of
probably not.
things have changed.
Who
you know,
knows?
like
Anything
Yeah.
could happen, right?
yeah. Well, that's exactly right. And with you, Mark, how do you find being such a big part of the Brickman team and looking back on everything that you've done on Lego Masters and with Brickman? How do you find it now? Do you find it a bit weird looking back on, hey, I built that, or are you proud?
Oh no,
of
I'm
everything you put
proud. I'm proud. I am really proud of it, and I'm proud of everyone that's been involved in it. Really, because it's just been a growth experience for everybody. All the TV people have learnt about Lego. I've learnt more about TV. I mean, like, I was wanted to get into TV. That was one of my
Oh,
dream
wow, that's
jobs back
awesome.
in the
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
Yep.
So it was kind of like a mashup of dream things for me to be able to work on the show. Frankly,
That's
So,
really, really good. That's amazing.
as much as I might be frustrated that some of my ideas or builds or whatever didn't quite make the cut, or the test didn't work out or whatever, it's still fundamentally kind of a crazy dream come true to be able to do that. Which is a little bit why I'm even a bit more heartbroken that it has moved to Sydney. And
Yeah, I
I'm
was a
not
bit
able to
shattered
help.
too. I was like, oh, like they
We've got to
moved
share
it.
the love. We've got to share it.
I
now.
know, but
Come on now.
Sydney, whatever. Like, you like you sort of like
Oh, controversy.
you're just like, oh,
Sydney's a beautiful place. I was born there.
I know,
so,
but my
you wouldn't
brain
have
was
me without
automatically
Sydney.
like, when I found out, because obviously, being in circles, you find things out a bit, you know, and I was like, my whole brain was like, what about the Brickman team? How is that logistically going to work? Like, because everything's built on the fly. You know, sometimes you're like, hey, I need this, whatever it is, like this big Christmas tree.
Yeah.
You know,
But
like,
it's all about adapting. It's all about changing, and we've learnt that over the last 2 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
well, that's exactly right. And with learning and growing, obviously you're a big part of the Jurassic World exhibition. What was that like? Because, you know, I know you're a big fan of Back to the Future and Universal and all that sort of stuff. So what was it like getting involved in the process of helping get it off the ground effectively?
It was amazing. It was really, really awesome.
I'm slightly jealous. I love dinosaurs, obviously, and I was like, oh, he had to do Jurassic World, didn't he? Like, really? Like,
yeah. To be honest, I didn't know you were such a big fan.
Yeah, Sarah from Lego Masters painted this for me. Like,
yeah, I saw
it's
that.
It's really,
That's
really
amazing.
good. Yeah. Because I gave her the challenge. I'm like, can you paint this? And she was like, yeah. And then she came up and I was here and she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, I'm just going to go downstairs. I'm going to go do
it.
She was drawing a grid. She gridded it all up.
Yep.
And then she's like, right, I've got the photo here. I'm just going to do it in sections. I'm like, well, you know what you're doing. She's like, I really don't. Just wing it. And she did. She figured it out.
It actually looks really, really good.
It does. It looks awesome.
It's so. I'm really happy with the way it turned out because, you know, obviously I was chatting to Universal what I can and can't put on a wall because filming and rights, and you don't want to upset anybody in the future where it might, you know, you want to work with them effectively.
Yeah.
And I was just back and forth with so many people to try and get permission. And in the end, it ended up making a roundabout way to Steven Spielberg's assistant. And then I got an email back and he's like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, whoa. What's happening here? Like, because Sarah was like, I can do this. I'm like, wait. I need to ask because if we change anything, like we've just gotten permission to do this. Like, and you know what it's like dealing with Universal. Like, everything's a process and sometimes things take a little bit longer than we wanted, you know, like.
Absolutely.
But I'm glad that you guys managed to pull it off because I think it's an amazing exhibition. Yeah. You guys have done an amazing job. There's your girls.
Oh. There's my beautiful family. Love you guys.
Hey. They're trying to be as quiet as possible. It's
They're doing a very good job.
You're doing an amazing job.
Very good job.
It's nice and cooler up here than it is downstairs. So.
Yes.
But I think that's amazing. Thanks for joining us. I know it's been hard to pin you down because, you know,
busy man.
One, you're busy with Brickman and peel you away from Brickman because, you know, it's hard enough. But, you know, the world's been different and we're fortunate enough that we can film today, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's a bit touch and go. Like, we don't like mentioning dates because the way we release podcasts. But, you know, it's January and it's touch and go. So it was all like, oh, let's hope. And we're being COVID safe. I just want to make clear to everybody, we are COVID safe. Our cameraman's had rat tests. We've all sort of made sure to protect each other. Masks on when we're not filming, just because, you know, I don't want to upset Dan. You know, that's the way it is.
And the cameraman.
But yeah, you know, like it is what it is. But we appreciate you joining us, Mark. I'll link his.
Thank you for having me.
He's got an Instagram account. He's sort of using it a lot more now.
I'm using it a bit more. Like I'll post up some stuff about this, and I've been meaning to post up a finished picture of that for a long time.
Cool. We'll get Dan will take a photo for us once we're done. We'll share it on all the social medias, but we'll put Mark's Instagram handle down the bottom. Make sure you follow him. He can, when he's allowed to, he does share behind the scenes stuff of Lego Masters because obviously you don't want to ruin the surprise, unlike the producers who edit the show and ruin it at the start for everybody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But anyway,
that has never happened.
But yeah,
I didn't quite catch that.
But yeah, we'll put links to everywhere so you can follow Mark. Keep an eye on Mark. Mark's an amazing person. I truly say this every time, and I'm not pulling his leg. That without Mark and without the Brickman team, Brickman wouldn't be where he is today, and we're grateful that Mark's around because we wouldn't have awesome Lego eggs and everything else. Thanks,
and all
Mark.
those great challenges.
Yeah, that's right. All those great challenges, right?
Oh, thanks, guys.
No, thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Guys.
There.